All right. Thank you so much again for joining us this evening. It is 6:01, and I do want to honor everyone's time. I see that there are a few Lee Virtual staff members who have joined me. So I am going to take a moment and introduce some folks, and then we will jump right into this presentation. I'm Meredith Berry. I'm one of the assistant principals with Lee Virtual School. My partner is Dr. Iovine. She's been with the district in various schools throughout her career. So you may have worked with her or been in a school. Your student may have been in a school that she was at. So we are very fortunate in that she is a part of our team this year. A really great addition to the Lee Virtual staff. So she and we also have joining us Maria Baker, and Maria Baker is our high school counselor. Lee Virtual School, we are a kindergarten through 12th grade school. So we have two school counselors. One of those is Maria Baker. She works with our high school students. So if we have any high school students with us this evening, Miss Baker is here and is available. And then we also have Mr. Robert Barnes. He's not joining us tonight, but he's our kindergarten through 8th grade school counselor. In fact, I'm going to tell you that there are some folks who may have today received emails from Mr. Barnes. He's already begun communicating with families who are looking to come over to Lee Virtual for January. So it's possible that you may have already received some communications from Mr. Barnes. Also on our meeting today, another member of our administrative staff is Mr. Eric Metzner. He is our instructional technologist specialist. So he's with us as well, also helping to let people in and take care of maybe questions in the chat box. And I'm sure at some point during the evening, throughout this, either Mr. Metzner or Miss Baker will jump in and they'll have something to share as well. So again, thank you for joining us. Tonight's session is really meant for information giving. This is really driven for those families who are looking at Lee Virtual thinking, I wonder what that school does, or man, we hear a lot about that school, or we don't hear anything at all about that school. What's going on with Lee Virtual School? Would that be a good fit for my student for January? Would that be a good fit for my student maybe in the future? So tonight we're going to be filled with giving you all sorts of the nitty gritty, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak, of Lee Virtual School. We've been doing these information sessions for many years now. We are in our 12th year, actually, of being in session, our 12th year. And so we have been doing this quite a bit. We kind of know what we're doing. I can already predict what some of your questions are going to be. You're more than welcome to put questions in the chat box. That's not a problem. I will periodically, I will stop my presentation and I will address questions. So I'm hoping that by the time everybody leaves our session tonight, you will feel like you can wrap your head around the amazing awesomeness of Lee Virtual School and really have a robust discussion in your home about if it would be a good fit for your student. I often tell families with Lee Virtual School, it's such a unique learning model, that it really is a family decision. Obviously, we want to make sure that our students are in a school that works best for them and that meets their needs and will educationally meet them where they're at, and then of course carry them into their future, into elementary, middle, high school, and beyond. So Lee Virtual School being so uniquely different than your traditional brick and mortar setting, it really does become a true family discussion through the honest lens of what it will be on the student's end. In our learning model, it's really driven, the student is driving the bus, so to speak. Brick and mortar school, your student is getting to school, sitting in a classroom. The bell rings, which tells your student when to go to the next class. The bell tells them when they start the class. The bell tells them when they end the class. The teacher gives them the assignment. The teacher tells them your assignment is officially due tomorrow, or it's due on Monday. There's a lot of directed behavior in the brick and mortar setting. Definite starts, definite stops. With Lee Virtual, all that goes out the window. We are not having a definite start to our day. We don't have a definite end to our day. We're not going to tell your student that their work is absolutely due tomorrow. So there's such a gray area within our school and a fluidity within our school that it really does require a family discussion about how is this going to look in our home? How will we create this schedule within our home? What environment do we have within our home that will allow my student or the student to be able to really zero in on their education, take ownership of their education, have the wherewithal, have that maturity to be able to designate, self-designate, start and end. So it's a much different type of a mentality with the online education. Now, many of you have probably gone to a college or a university or even a trade school that requires online learning. So you kind of get it, if you're in post-secondary and you're doing online classes, you're given the task and you're told this is the ultimate end date, make it happen. Call the professor, call the instructor when you need help. But really, here you go. Engage and get it done. Well, to an extent, Lee Virtual is a lot like that. So whether you're in kindergarten, whether you're in 7th grade, or whether you're in 11th grade, in our world, it's a lot of here's the information and let us know when you need that help. So tonight, as we go through this, I'm going to show you some of our classes so you can get a visual of what this looks like. I'm going to walk you through what our timeline for courses and assignment submissions is. I'm going to feed you some of the language so that once you get off of this session, you as a family can sit and talk and decide if this indeed is the right learning model for your student. All right. Ms. Baker, Mr. Metzner, any final thoughts before I jump into this?
Actually, some of the things that you have mentioned are so on point as always. The biggest thing I would say is that dealing with the virtual school setting is so individualized and so much of an enhancement of what school really is. And I've gotten the benefit of seeing that transition from a brick and mortar setting as a classroom teacher since 1991 into virtual setting. And it is so individualized that it is such an enhancement. I keep using those terms because it's on point with what we do at Lee Virtual. So I would concur, and I would add those as well to the overall experience. And the parents and the students are so just well-spoken about their whole process and what they go through. And that's what I've seen. That's what I've observed. Of course, there are a couple of glitches, a couple bumps in the road, but we always navigate those with much better precision than I've ever seen in my career. So this is a good experience.
Thank you, Mr. Metzner. And I appreciate you mentioning the technology glitches. I'm glad that you said that because technology is never perfect. Obviously, in our world, everything is online. Everything we do is online. It's all 100% online. So we're relying on technology. And again, it sometimes isn't perfect. So we do have those days where our system goes down and we're all chomping at the bit, waiting for it to come back online. Or we do have those moments where students are working so hard to submit something and it just ends up floating in the cyber world. Where did it go? And, and that's when we're available to walk families through. So there's a level, I think what Mr. Metzner was saying is there's a level of patience also within our setting. Patience in the sense that There's so much of this that is on your student to control. And yet there's a piece of it that we can't control. We can plan, we can hope for the best, but you know you've got the backup. So if it does go wrong, you've got a team behind you to reach out to. That would be one of my #1 sayings for students. If you're looking to come on board with Leave Virtual, whether you are in kindergarten, 3rd grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, do not suffer in silence. In our school, our students learn their voice and they learn it fast. Because we can't see you, because we don't hold live lessons with you every day, I'm going to get to know you through phone, through texting, through email. I don't know that you need support if you don't reach out and tell me. So a big part of our world relies on our student and our student's voice. And oftentimes I'll have parents who will call me and they'll say, oh, you know, my son is Mark and he can't get into his English class. And my reply immediately is, thank you for calling me. Either put Mark on the phone or put me on speaker, because I need to talk to Mark. I need to engage with Mark. I want to teach Mark the language. I want Mark to tell me exactly what processes he is following so I can do the same thing. So just like Mr. Metzner was saying, technology is so important in our world, so important, but it only goes well when that student advocates and talks to us and tells us. So there's my little sidekick. Anyway, here we go. So Leave Virtual School. We are a public school. We are a public school. We are not homeschool. So language #1, when you refer to Leave Virtual School, do not say homeschool, because we are not homeschool. We are Leave Virtual Public School. And because we're a public school, our students all follow the exact same public school requirements as any other school in Lee County. We issue diplomas at the end of the year. Our students have to earn credits just like all the other students at brick and mortar. Our students take all of the state tests, all of the progress monitoring, everything as a public school. So language #2, first one is don't suffer in silence, use that voice. Secondly, we are a public school, Leave Virtual Public School. So if you have a student that you're thinking for our elementary program, our kindergarten through 5th grade students all take 5 courses, the core, the traditional core, the math, the science, the language arts, and the social studies. And again, because we're a public school, all of our elementary students participate in iReady, just like they do at brick and mortar settings. Our middle school students all will take and complete 6 courses. Now, in the brick and mortar, they do 8. In our world, your head would explode if you did 8. You do 6 classes with us. If you're a middle school student, you're going to take 6 courses. And you can see here, you have the 4 core. iReady is considered one of your courses, and you do get an elective. At the high school level, you also will take 6 courses, not 8. You'll do 6. Now, everybody typically takes math at the high school level. I put a question mark by the science and the social studies because it really depends on where you are with your credit standing, whether you will or will not take a science or a social studies. And pretty much everybody takes English as well. And then there are additional 2 electives. If you are a junior or a senior and you are at the point where you've already earned the majority of your credits and you think that if you come to Leave Virtual, you're not going to have to take a full load, you are wrong. All of our juniors and seniors are required to complete 6 credits worth of courses, even if they don't need that many for graduation. It is the way we are funded. It also is because we are NCAA accredited. And because of the NCAA accreditation, our students, all 6 through 12, regardless of how many credits, must complete 6 credits worth of courses. So always important for our juniors and seniors to know that. You will notice that our learning management systems, we use upwards of 4 different learning management systems. Students, hear me very clearly. This is not Lee Home Connect. This is not in any way, shape, or form Lee Home Connect. Not at all Lee Home Connect. We are an online school that uses 4 different management systems. You will have courses that will be on your Florida Virtual Flex account. You may have courses that appear on your eDynamics account. You, of course, will have iReady at the kindergarten through 8th grade level. And some of you will also have Google Classroom. So in our world, this is it's called an asynchronous learning model. You're logging into a course, you're reading it, you're self-teaching, and you're submitting your assignments, all independent. And when you need support, you contact your teachers. So again, this is not Lee Home Connect. And in a few moments, I'll actually log into Florida Virtual and I'll show you what some of the courses look like. Because we are a public school in Lee County, our students do have the ability to take advanced and honors courses. And at the high school level, we have advanced placement and we have dual enrollment. Again, just like any other brick and mortar school. We are not an IB school, however, and we are not a Cambridge school. We do the same progress monitoring that brick and mortar schools do, only yours will take place at home. So our kindergarten through 8th grade students complete their quarterly iReady tests at home. They complete their 45 minutes of iReady at home. And at the high school level, our students do the STAR testing. And again, those are all done at home and they're done quarterly, just as you would if you were in a brick and mortar setting. Also, our students take part in state testing. That is for grades 3. I put 3 through 12 because we do have some 12th graders who are still taking some of their state tests. So it's grades 3 through 12. That testing is done at the Lee County Public Education Center, and it's done during the springtime. So this is one of the few times that we absolutely need to have you present on our campus. And again, we work out of the Lee County Public Education Center on Colonial Boulevard. So before I switch screens, if you need to take a quick photo of this so that you've got it for a conversation later on this evening or over the weekend, absolutely do so. And while you're taking a photo of that, I'm going to chime over, ask Mr. Metzner or Miss Baker, do you have any thoughts that you want to share about this particular topic before I move on?
Biggest thing that I've seen is that convenience of being able to do the progress monitoring from home is such a huge convenience. The progress monitoring in the brick and mortar setting is very much helicopter teacher. It's very much let's make sure we get all the stuff right. It's kind of clunky. The way we do progress monitoring runs really smoothly, at least in my observation so far. So I am comparing the 2 different school settings and environments in the same way that I did the student experience through eVirtual. So progress monitoring, pretty much the same way. And our testing coordinator is amazing. And we've been very lucky to have highly capable people and staff that run those things, that make it so smooth that it seems like people are coming to a 5-star resort and they get their stuff done and they're off for their day. So it runs really smoothly when we have those in-person settings, like the state assessments that you spoke about before. So everything does go well.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm good.
And because we are a reading and a writing-based school, our students spend their entire educational day reading. Everything you do is reading, and it's writing. And therefore, when our students come in for those spring tests, they do very well because number one, they're already used to working on the computer and they have done so much reading every day. How do you get better at reading? By reading. How do you get better at writing? By writing. They've done so much of it in all of their classes that for them, these state tests, it's really not that big of a deal. When our kids come in, we're very jovial It's very much, it's great to see you. Oh, that's what you look like. It's very interactive. They head on into their testing site. We follow the state statutes and directions for testing. They get it done and they're on their way. So we really do try to create an environment that's not high anxiety provoking. And most of our students, like I said, they're so used to reading and writing anyway that they don't worry about those state tests. The one management system I did not put on here that I do need to mention is Edgenuity, E2020. If we do have a student who registers with us who failed a course and they have to retake it for credit recovery, we do utilize E2020 as well. And I purposely left it off because we have very few students that come to us that need E2020. Just most of our students are really in it. They're independent, they're motivated, and they're moving and they're grooving. But we do have that if necessary. A school supply list. So most families want to know, in this online setting, what on earth would I possibly need? Like, what would I need? Well, obviously, your student's going to need a district issued Chromebook. Absolutely the Chromebook. Now, can you do your classes on another device? Yes, you can. But there are some videos, there are some things that you need to access through your Chromebook Launchpad that you can't get on your own personal device. So we really do highly recommend a student use a district Chromebook. If you want to connect it to a larger monitor, if you want to utilize a second laptop so you're working in two, you can. But so much of what we do comes from the district Launchpad that you really do need to use that Chromebook, whether you're in kindergarten or you're in middle or high school. Headphones and a mouse, again, highly recommended in our world. Just for kids, it really just seems to help them plug in when they can put those headphones on and drown out the barking dogs behind them, or the conversations going on, or the little brother running around. It just seems to work much better that way. A mouse, a printer or access to it, it's not a requirement, but you might find that you do need to print some things. And we're not going to give you those papers. So some students like that printer because they do like to print some of the study guides. They do like to print some of the things because they still need a little bit of that paper pencil still. So you might want to have a printer. The notebook, paper, folders, binders. Your student's going to be taking notes. In our world, note taking is so important. And even though you can do it all online, many of our students they need the old-fashioned, isn't that funny I say that? The old-fashioned paper pencil. For elementary students, you absolutely need a learning guide. 100%. No elementary student can do this independent. It needs to be an adult, and the adult has got to be able to be available every day to provide instruction and support. For our elementary students, we cannot plop them on the computer and tell them to, go for it. We can't do that. It's got to be an adult who is with that student, who is going over the instructions, going over the lesson with the student, providing that support. Remember what I said in the beginning. This is not Lee Home Connect. You're not logging into a live teacher for 6 hours of the day. So that adult learning guide is logging into the courses, is reading with the student, is going over the instructions with the student. And when they need help, then they call the teacher. And of course, elementary kiddos, you also need some glue and some scissors because you definitely have projects that you'll be working on. At the high school level, we do encourage, middle school and high school, we do encourage a scientific calculator. When you get to some of those upper level math courses, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Math for College Readiness, Pre-Calc, a calculator is always a great idea. Even some of the science courses like chemistry, you'll want a calculator. You may even want graphing paper, especially for geometry, and of course, novels. Middle school and high school, the English and the language arts classes are heavy novel based. Now, many students will download the novel and they'll read it electronically, but a lot of kids, they still like that paper. They like to have that book in front of them. They flipping through the pages. So if you're one of those kids, then just be prepared that you might have to go to the library and check out a novel every now and then. All right, let me just escape out of this real quick. I want to jump on over and actually show you what this looks like. So as I said, Lee Virtual School uses upwards of 4 different management systems, 5 if you include E2020. Our major is Florida Virtual Flex. We are a franchise of Florida Virtual, actually. So we do pay Florida Virtual for their courses. But of course, our teachers are the teachers on record. So our teachers are all Lee County Public School employees who happen to teach a course that was created and maintained by Florida Virtual. So many of our processes come from Florida Virtual, and we have to follow them because we're a franchise of Florida Virtual. There are some processes and rules, such as making monthly contacts to families, such as doing discussion-based assessments, such as being allowed to resubmit assignments. Some of those are rules that come down from Florida Virtual that we must abide by as a franchise. So the major virtual management system that all of you will use for sure is this one. And if you don't have an account already, we'll create you one, so you don't need to worry about any of that. So you come to this website. I call it the girl with the purple hair because she's got, as you can see, purplish pink hair. Your student will log in. And once they log in, they'll go to their virtual school administrator. And once they log in, they will get to their landing page, which is called their student dashboard. So again, if you already have a virtual account, wonderful. We'll take care of it. We'll do the rest. If you don't have a virtual account, don't worry. We'll make you one. We'll get you your login information. No big deals. So right here, you can see immediately we've got a little note for our current students. We're telling them to finish strong. Please notice all of our classes end December 17. Now, technically the semester ends January 7. Well, we end our classes earlier than that. So our students are working at a much more rigorous pace so that they can enjoy their 2-week winter break. And then when we resume school January 2nd or 3rd, that last week is meant for oopsies. Like, for example, I got my math class done, but my final grade is a 78%. And my teacher calls me and says, Meredith, you know, if you resubmit one assignment, you actually could finish this course with a B, with an 80%. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So we get all of our kids to be done with their courses early so that they have a week wiggle room for those oopsies or just in cases they want to make any changes. And of course, we're getting ready for semester 2. And then we have our little notice here about transfers, because we do have some students with us right now that are not going to return for semester 2. So we do make sure that we provide that information. So this is kind of like our student dashboard landing page where we have some general announcements for everybody. Down below is where you will find all of their courses. Now, as you'll notice, this happens to be a 5th grade student that we're looking at. This student is classified as gifted. So if you have a student who is classified as gifted, yes, we can provide support with enrichment. We absolutely do that. We do that for K through 5 and 6 through 8. This student has language arts, but notice this student has excelled and they're now in 6th grade math. There's an advantage that you can get with us that you can't get in the brick and mortar. Our students accelerate and we keep up with them. So this is a 5th grader who has already finished 5th grade math. She didn't skip it. She completed it. And now she's into 6th grade math. She also is taking middle school Spanish because she already finished elementary Spanish and now she's in middle school Spanish. So one of the advantages in our school, because our students are working at least a minimum, They can move as fast as they want. So this is an example of a student who already from August finished 5th grade math and is already almost done with the first half of 6th grade math. So let's just jump in and take a look. Let's look at 5th grade language arts. Again, for those of you who might be in elementary school, I do want you to get a visual of what it looks like. You'll notice that when students log in, they automatically see their teacher's announcement page. This is the same regardless, whether you're in elementary, middle school, or high school, it's all the same. You have a picture of your teacher, you've got their phone number, you've got their availability. Notice our teachers are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So they work crazy hours. They're not available on the weekends, but you can work on the weekends, but your teachers won't be grading any work on the weekends. So this student, if this student needed support in language arts and social studies, she's going to call her teacher, or maybe she'll text her teacher. You've got pace charts in here. You've got all of these resources down below to help. There are so many resources, and we're going to teach you where those are, because when you're at home and you're working and you get stuck, because you're going to get stuck, you will. You just will. It's a learning curve. You know where to go to get help. Again, don't suffer in silence. We don't want you to suffer in silence. We want you to use your voice. We want you to know where to go to get help. We are not going to be online with you all day, every day. So we've got to teach you and your family where they can go to be self-sufficient and get their help. Our teachers do offer 1 hour per week where they are available online. And this particular teacher is available on Thursdays at 1 o'clock. She, during that time frame, is talking specifically about language arts. And then on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock, she's talking about math. Now you'll notice that down here, there's a link for recordings. So in the event that you can't make this live lesson, you can always watch the recording later on. Those recordings don't go away. They're always available. And it could be that you watch it the next day, or you could be that you watch it 2 months from now. They're always going to be right there. Again, in our world, you are working in a schedule within your home setting, and you just might not be available at 10 o'clock on Wednesday for math. Not a problem. You can watch the recording. Let's talk about pace chart here. Let's jump into this, because a lot of people think that, oh, you could work at your own pace with Lee Virtual. No, you can't. No. There's a minimum number of assignments for you to turn in. And that's what this pace chart is. This pace chart tells you, all right, during the week, these are all of the assignments that are due. You turn it in when you want to, but it's all has a deadline. Absolutely. So for example, you can see that back in August, the first week of school, in every single course, these were all of the assignments that this student was required to turn in. So in the first 3 days of school, the first 3 days, this student was expected to complete 8 assignments in the first 3 days. So when we talk about rigor, I mean it. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm being very straight. I want you to know what you're getting into. In the first 3 days of school, every 5th grader had 8 assignments due. Now, you could turn them in anytime in those 3 days, but the deadline is always 4 o'clock on Friday. And as we scroll down, the next week, you can see we had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We had 12 assignments due. Again, this is a 5th grader. And if we keep going, again, week to week, you can see all that is expected. And this is why at the elementary level, we've got to have an adult learning guide. An elementary student does not have the experience nor the concept of how to schedule, how to do time management. And that's part of that role of the adult learning guide, is to go over what's due and to plot out, okay, during this week, we've got these 8 assignments. Let's put on our calendar what we're going to turn in on which days. And if we were in first grade, if we were in third grade, the model is the same. It all looks the same. So by the time we get to, let's see where we're at for this week. So this is the week of November 15th through the 19th. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 12, 14 assignments due. And of course, iReady as well. And that's going to be by Friday at 4 o'clock. Of course, there's no school next week. And then we jump into it and we continue into the following week. Okay, and again, it looks the same for all the elementary classes. So when you're talking about your home privately, elementary families, you really want to have that honest discussion. Who is the adult that's going to commit every day to doing this with their student? It should not be the older brother or sister. It's got to be the adult, mom, dad, aunt, grandpa, somebody that is committed to doing it every single day, because that adult is driving all of this. Now, the student is having discussions with the teacher, but the adult's going to have a lot of discussions with the teacher, because we know you're not teachers. We know you're not teachers. You're learning guides. And you as a learning guide are going to reach out to that teacher quite a bit to say, all right, I'm getting ready to do the whole lesson on the circus of circuits, and I read through the lesson, but I've got some questions. That's when the teacher comes into play to be able to provide that layer of support. So let's go ahead and just jump into a lesson real quick, just again, so that at the 5th grade level, of course, you can see the high level of reading and writing that's required. So we're in the English class for 5th grade. These are all of the modules that will be completed. So if I just jump into one of these, this particular module has 8 assignments within it. So let's just go ahead and jump in to one of them. We work in order. We don't skip around. We just go right in order. The pace chart again tells us what we do. So here you are. You see the lesson. It's all reading based. We've got some little icons up here to provide us with some support. But as you can see, there's no live instruction. There's no active fun, loud video. It's 11 pages and it is heavy reading and writing based. So the student's going to read, the adult learning guide is going to read, is going to help. They're going to do all the activities and they're going to move on to the next page. So again, at the elementary level, you just cannot plop the kid in front of the computer and say, okay, here you go, learn. As you can see, there's so much reading that it's going to need a learning guide for support. Similes and metaphors we're talking about here, figurative language, literal meaning, and context clues, some activities here. Check your answers with some. I'm going to jump to the last page here. The last page is where we find out what our assignment is. So for this particular assignment, this lesson is 3.1, similes and metaphors. That's what our assignment is, similes and metaphors. So if we go into our grade book, I love the grade book, by the way, love it, love it. If we go into the grade book, this is where we submit all of our assignments. It tells us the day and time we submitted it, and it gives us the grade. So, you never have to wonder how your student is doing. You're not going to be checking focus. You don't have to wait for the grade to drop. You always know exactly how your child is doing. If you say to your student, open your grade book, let's see what you turned in. Let's compare your pace chart with your grade book and let's celebrate that progress. Let's cross assignments off the list. You never have to wonder. And I'll say to students, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, I'll say to students, The gradebook doesn't lie. It captures every time you turn an assignment in. So I'll have students that will call me and they'll say, oh my gosh, I love it. I'm doing so great. And I'll go into the gradebook and I'll see nothing has been submitted. And I'll say to them, where are you submitting your work? Because you're not turning it in the gradebook. So where's it going? Everything always gets turned in the gradebook. Always, always, always. And you can see these are all of the assignments that this student still has to complete by January 17. Again, they work according to the pace chart. And when you're done working in this class, you can toggle between your other courses. So I'm going to jump over to that middle school math because I want you to see whether it's an elementary, whether it's a middle, whether it's high school, they all have the same look. So I'm in middle school math. Again, here is my announcement page, picture, teacher contact information. You've got her pace chart right here. You've got her Zoom link right here. Here's when she's having her live lesson, November 29th at 1 o'clock. All of her resources are down here, all of her recordings, study guides, everything you need is right here for that extra layer of support. If we go into the lessons, you'll see that in math, again, heavy reading and writing. I'll go just into this one. This particular module has 13 assignments. Let's just jump over, take a look at one of them. This is multiplying rational numbers. This is for an advanced student. It's 7 pages worth of lessons. As we move through those pages, again, it's all reading with activities. You're not watching videos. It's reading and self-teaching. Here's an activity to complete. We move on to the next page. So this high level of reading is why our students do so well on the FSAs and the EOCs. But if you're a student who really struggles with reading, you don't enjoy reading, you really have a hard time with reading, this may or may not be a good fit, for you. You got to talk about that within your family to make that decision. I've seen some students who have been struggling readers who love this program because they're doing it at home and they have the ability to use all day long to read if they want, or they can read it and reread it if they want, or they can have their parent help them read it. And I've seen other students who have been struggling readers who have just said, oh my goodness, there's just way too much reading. So it really comes down to the family. It really comes down to you and your family. So again, at the end of the lesson, we got the assignment, we go to the grade book, and we turn, again, just like that 5th grade language arts, it looks exactly the same. We turn our lessons in, everything is day and time stamped. Now, one thing I want to tell you about us, because we're so rigorous, we know our students are not going to do well all the time the first time. That's why we go for mastery learning. Mastery learning allows your student to turn in an assignment, get a grade, read the teacher's feedback, and resubmit the assignment for a better grade. We want our students to learn. That's called mastery learning. We want them to know because everything builds on each other. So if I scored low on one of my assignments, it's going to make it difficult for me to move on to the next. So we always allow our students to learn from their mistakes. Talk to the teacher, get a little bit more support, and correct and resubmit. Now, it's not giving you the ability just to turn in whatever you want the first time around. No, that's not the intention. The intention is that as a human being, you're learning. And one of the best ways we learn is from feedback. So it's all about that feedback. Here's an example of an assignment that the student scored low on. So if I click on it, you'll be able to see that she's actually already reset it 2 times. So she can do this upwards of 3 times. If she still is scoring low on it, she has to talk to the teacher about getting it reset again. But we generally cannot go beyond 3 times. That's a Florida virtual rule that we live under. It has to be exceptions for why we would reset it again. So she's actually already tried it a couple of times. Mr. Metzner, Miss Baker, before I move on, do you have any thoughts that you want to share?
Biggest thing that I've noticed for students is their learning curve does change and shift with the rigor of what they have to accomplish. What I mean by that is they'll take the time needed to go through the lessons rather than just skip through and try to find some keywords. They might try to do that at the first time, which is when Miss Berry was talking about, well, maybe the first time they won't get it right away, and they have those opportunities. The biggest thing that I've noticed as well with that is that they have the opportunity to adjust and resubmit, and that's such a valuable key in getting that mastery under their belt so they know what they're doing. And also it ties in with their discussion-based assessments. We haven't talked about too much just yet, but I've noticed in the discussion-based assessments that the students know their stuff. They are so well versed that they really do know their stuff. So it's vital that they understand, yeah, you can make some mistakes. We all do, humans. But the thing is they have opportunities to go a little bit forward with redoing something to get that mastery level and to really comprehend the content so they can move forward. And that's been again, another observation from brick and mortar to virtual setting.
Thank you, Mr. Metzner. Thank you so much. And I am going to talk, and that's a great reminder. I will talk about DBAs. Thank you very much for that gentle reminder. And I see that Miss Baker has put in the chat box how important parental involvement is. And she even put in the chat box, you know, checking that grade book every night and every week. So when your students in the brick and mortar world, most parents will say, do you have homework? They ask a yes and no question. Well, in our world, we don't ask yes and no questions. We make open-ended statements. Open the grade book, open the pace chart. Let's celebrate what you got done. Show me what you turned in. We never say, did you turn work in? We always say, show me what you turned in. Because your student can come to the grade book and now you know everything is day and time stamped. And you can follow that pace chart, cross it off the list, and you can celebrate that. Here's an example. This student, she reset this exam. You've already reset it once. If she's still not satisfied with her grade, she can reset it one more time. Notice this is a short answer. This is a multiple choice. This also might be, no, oftentimes the questions will be essays as well. This one happens to not be. Let's talk about DBAs because I think Mr. Metzner did a great job to review that. So as I said, assignments can be turned in 3 times, but tests cannot. Tests are the one thing that we cannot ever redo, ever, 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 which is why before your student does a test, they have to complete something called a discussion-based assessment. This is a time when your student, whether your child's in kindergarten, 3rd grade, 6th grade, 9th grade, 12th grade, your student will be in a conversation with their teacher on the phone. And that conversation is all about all of the lessons and all of the work that the student has been doing and turning in. It is that final effort to make sure that the student has mastered all of that material. Because at the end of that discussion, the teacher, if the student's ready, will give that student a password that will allow them to open the test and to complete it. Now, at the end of that discussion, the student reserves the right to say, please don't give me that password. I now realize I don't know percents that well. I need to go back in. I want to review percents. And then I'm going to call you back, talk about it, and then maybe get the password. But the teacher always also has the right to say, I don't want to give you that password yet because I don't know that you're going to do well on that test. I want you to go back and review ratios. And then call me. We'll talk about ratios. And then I'll give you the password to take the exam. Because again, this is the one thing that you cannot ever resubmit. So we want to make sure a student's going to do right and do well, which is why you have to do a DBA. Those are non-negotiables. Now, we know students get very nervous when they do their first DBA. We've been doing this for 12 years. We've had thousands of kids go through our program. We know it can be anxiety provoking. We got you. This is not meant to be a quiz. This is a conversation about what you're learning. And if you're struggling, it's a beautiful time privately to be able to tell your teacher, you know, I really am having a hard time with ratios. It just doesn't make sense to me. I've done the live lessons. I've looked at the resources. I've watched the videos. I'm still struggling with that. So it's that one time when that student, that last ditch effort to make sure that that child is really ready to go to pass those tests. While I jump into a high school course, Miss Baker, do you have any thoughts you want to share? I see you've been typing in the chat box, so do you have anything you want to share?
She's having some technical difficulties with audio, so that's why she's been typing.
Oh, no problem then. No problem. Stay where you're at then, Miss Baker. You're doing a great job. Here's a high school student. Again, you can see all high school courses that the student is in. So let's just go ahead and jump into a high school class so all of our students can see what this looks like. So if you're a high school student, again, you go into your course, looks the exact same as elementary and middle. You got your teacher's announcement page. There's a picture of your teacher. You got the phone number right there. Pace charts are available for you. She did a live lesson today at 1 o'clock over module 3. If you couldn't get there, she's got her recordings right here, study guides, reference sheets, you know, everything you need to know right here, ready and ready for you to take advantage of. Lessons, the exact same thing. It's all reading, it's all writing based. I'm looking at marine science right now. Let's go ahead. We'll jump into one of these modules. This one has 6 lessons in it. Again, we have a quick little video here. This is 6 pages worth of lessons. You're going to read, do whatever the activities are. I'm still reading. I'm still doing the activities. I got a note guide to use. If I want to print something, I can. More notes, more activities. I'm going to skip to the last page. And now I got my assignment at the end, 1.04. I go to the Gradebook. Looks just like elementary and middle school. They all look the same. I turn in my work here, I get my grade, and I'm on it, and this tells me the day and time I submitted something. So let's take a look here. We've got, let's see, this one looks like it's a little bit of a lower score. So let's see if this would be something we could redo. Yep, this student could redo this one if he wanted. He's got 2 more chances. So he could absolutely go back into the lesson and review, reset, and take it. I do want to try to find one. Let's jump over to the English course or the world history. I want to show you what an assignment would look like with heavy like essays, because our kids do submit a lot of essays here. So let's see if this was an essay. No, not this one. Let's see, maybe this one is. Let's look here. No. Let's find one. Writing a narrative. Maybe this one is. Yeah, here we go. So this is an example. The student had to write an essay. He had to write it through his Google Docs. He had to then load it as a file. So you can see it's right there. And then the teacher grades it. And then the teacher gave some comments about it. And if there was anything that she wanted to recommend that he redo, or maybe do it a little bit better, or maybe recommendations on how he could get a better grade, she'd put it right there for him. Let's try to find another one. Oh, here we go. We can see he has submitted some assignments here. We know the day and the time that this student turned them in. So again, you never have to wonder if he turned it in. He's just waiting for, he had 3 assignments. This one assignment had 3 essays. So he's just waiting for all 3 of them to be graded. So the teacher is hand grading each individual assignment. And if we go to this class's pace chart, oh, sorry, let me get back to the main page. Again, just like elementary, we saw it was set up to tell you every week what's due. It's the same thing for middle school and high school. This is English. So you can see every week you've got an essay and the exact due date. So again, you can turn it in anytime within, but it's ultimately due by that Friday. So right now we are Friday, November the 19th. So students are doing their discussion-based assessments this week. So this is the week that they're having conversations with teachers. And if they're an honor student, they're also doing their Romeo and Juliet Act 2. So you never have to wonder what to turn in. You follow the pace chart. So parents, you can easily print these, and this becomes your daily conversation, your weekly conversation about what students working on and expected to turn in. Mr. Metzner, do you have any thoughts before I jump off of out of this section?
No, ma'am, I'm liking the pace so far. This is a good pace.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now that you've seen elementary, you've seen middle school, you've seen high school, you know the format is identical. Once you are done with one course, you simply flip-flop to your next course. And again, you have that teacher and you follow the exact same process. We're not going to tell you what day to do something. It's just always do according to that pace chart. Always, always, always. Here's world history at the high school level. Okay. All right. Let's jump back over. I want to look at one thing here. I want to just back this up. Hold on. Hold on. I want to get to this one here. Okay, let's go back to this discussion of advanced and honors and advanced place and dual enrollment. As I already said, we do not offer IB. We don't offer Cambridge. We don't offer, oh, there's another one, and it escapes me right now. We don't have those programs. We are not those schools, but we do participate in dual enrollment. FSW, FGCU, Fort Myers Tech, Cape Coral Tech. If you're a high school student and you're interested in those enrollments, Miss Maria Baker, she's your gal. She can give you the lowdown on all of that. If you're a student who's looking for advanced and honors classes, we can absolutely help you with it. But here's what I would recommend. If your student is accelerating, please let them get their feet wet first. I highly recommend that when students register for courses, they register for the regular version of the course. Because even in the regular version, you can still get nosy and look at the advanced and the honors. Give yourself a couple of weeks to get yourself settled, talk to the teacher, get nosy, look at those advanced assignments. And if you decide that it is something you can handle, all you gotta do is let Mr. Barnes or let Miss Baker know, and they can change your course enrollment from regular to advanced just like that. It's literally a flip of a switch. So you have the ability, students, to go slow, to go fast. In our world, we don't need you to make those major decisions right away. We don't want you to get in over your head. We want you to get into all of your classes. We're going to expect that you work in all of your courses every day, Monday through Friday, that you're working a full 6.5, 7 hours a day, just like you would if you were at a brick and mortar. After you're settled, after you figure out your daily schedule, after you kind of get your groove and your pattern, then if you want to go to the next level and take the honors, we can make that change. For the middle school and the high school level, the honors is going to help you with your GPA because it's going to weigh more heavily in your GPA. It also is going to give you a little bit more of a critical thinking application base to your education. And if you're ultimately going for advanced placement and dual enrollment to obtain college credit, you do want to slowly transition your way from regular to honors to advanced placement and dual enrollment. I would never recommend that a student go from regular straight to dual enrollment. You want to go slow to go fast, baby step your way up. Because again, in our world, it's all reading and writing based. So the amount of reading and writing with the honors and the advanced is going to be more. The written portion is going to be more. The expectation of the content within will be more. That's why I say, don't put pressure on yourself to make that decision right away. It is okay to get 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the course and then make that decision. Totally okay. You can go slow to go fast. All right. Let's go ahead and open up for a couple of minutes. I want to do the what should I do next, and then I'm going to go ahead and open it up for a few last final questions, and then I will let you go to have some good old-fashioned honest discussions within your home. So what should I do next? Again, really, as a family, talk about Lee Virtual. Talk about how it's heavy reading and writing. Really, really talk about it. You've seen it. Have that honest conversation with your student. This is your student. We can't do the work for them. They're the ones who have to do it. Talk with them about the level of support that the adult will be able to provide. Talk about how there's very limited live lesson engagement. So if they need support, it's utilizing those resources. It's the student contacting the teacher. We want to help, but we need the kiddos to reach out to us. If you have not yet made the decision that you want to make the move over to Lee Virtual, remember the application period is from November 8th to the 23rd. And because we are a public school in Lee County, we follow student enrollment in terms of that process. So you have up until the 23rd to submit your transfer request. So that is next week. So you do want to have those discussions now. And if you decide that you want to make the move to Lee Virtual for semester 2, which of course is in January, then you're going to follow these steps, which I'm going to show you in a second. But you go to the leeschools.net, our schools, enroll in schools, grab the waiver, find the transfer waiver, and you're going to email it to studentenrollment@leeschools.net. So I'm going to give you a second to take a picture of this screen. And I'm going to pop over and walk you through that step. And then I'll take any final questions that we may have. And I hope that kids will ask me questions. I hope. All right, so let me jump out of this real fast. Let me get over here. leeschools.net, our schools, enroll in schools. I'm going to scroll down, come to the waiver section. I'm going to scroll down and I want the transfer request form, and you've got 3 different languages. You fill this form out and you email it to student enrollment at leeschools.net. If you wait to do this in December, they will not accept it. Again, we are a public school in Lee County. We follow the plan for student enrollment. So it's through November the 23rd. So again, leeschools.net, our schools, enroll in school, waivers, and then the form right there. Okay. Final thoughts from you, Mr. Metzner, Miss Baker, if you want to type anything in the chat box. We do have 2 more info sessions, and you're welcome to come back if you want to. Never a problem. You know, always pop back in and you can join us again for those. Any final thoughts or questions from my compadres?
Just a big thank you for giving a broad spectrum of everything and then going into those fine details. It's really interesting to see what the students are going to see in their daily experiences. And that's going to help the decision-making process, I think, for the families across the board. Hopefully they concur with that.
Okay. All right. So any from you all, I know some people are leaving our session, and that's completely okay. If you are satisfied with the information, you're more than welcome to go about your evening. Like I said, join us for another info session if you want to. But if you've got any questions, unmute yourself and we'll see what we can do in the next few minutes to help you out. Thank you, Ms. Hill. Oh, okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad that you got your questions answered. Again, if you've got something, use your voice. We want to make sure that you've got clarity when you're talking with your family. It's a big decision to make because this is not Lee Home Connect. So if you're still wondering something, don't hesitate to ask. There's no silly questions. And students, you can jump on too.
Hello.
Hi, I have a quick
Hi.
question.
Okay, go for it.
We're looking at Lee Virtual School for our daughter for kindergarten in the fall. And we were wondering how often you have live lessons for kindergarten.
It's the same as everything else. It's going to be once a week.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. You're very welcome.
Okay. Hi.
Is there anything else we should know for kindergarten?
Well, with kindergarten, obviously, that's heavy learning guide, heavy learning guide. You're also going to be looking at printables. Before I had mentioned that printer is really, it's optional. We can't require it. I can't guarantee you that we will, as a school, be able to provide you with all of the papers. Sometimes with budget, we can print some printables for our kindergarten, first, second graders, because while online is great, there's a component of written that's so important at that kindergarten, first, second grade level, that in the past, we've provided some printables for some things, but really relied on the parent to, at other times, print what they deem to be what their student needs. So you may find that at the kindergarten level, that printer is really going to be handy to be able to give what it is that we're not able to give you in terms of the paper part of it. And again, that heavy learning guide, you're going to become best friends with the kindergarten teacher, quite frankly. Right now, we've got Miss Apadu. She's our kindergarten instructor. She's been with us. This is her second year. And really, when it comes to kindergarten, first and second, because that learning guide is driving it every day, all day, that learning guide and the teacher become such good friends, because we know you're not teachers. You didn't go to school to be a teacher. Now, some of you did, but most of our learning guides didn't. And so they really do follow the lead and the recommendations of that elementary kindergarten teacher. So you can expect heavy training. All right, then. Okay, well, you all, thank you again for joining, and have a great evening. And again, you're more than welcome to come back in December and take part in our info nights again if you need it. So thank you.
One
Good
more thing
night.
I noticed.
Oh, go ahead.
I noticed you're recording. Is this available somewhere?
Yes, Mr. Metzner, can you answer that question for us?
Yeah, what I normally do is I'll go through this and I'll make the edits that need to be made, not that many, and then I'll place this on the community site, the community portion of our site, so you'll be able to watch it if you need to. Absolutely.
Okay, and which site is that? Lee Virtual?
It's the Lee Virtual School, and it'll be under either our families or our community. I'll make sure to place them there, like it says help and info meetings, and any past meetings I'll place there as well. And they'll be on our YouTube channel also, which is also linked there.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, good question. Okay, then. All right, thank you all. Enjoy your evening. Bye.